Imagine yourself in front of a centuries-sealed tomb, a location associated with one of the most potent narratives in history, the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. What if, after all this time, someone finally opened it? It all started in the ancient city of Jerusalem, where a group of scientists, archaeologists, and religious leaders gathered to witness something incredible: the opening of Jesus' tomb, a site that had remained untouched for over 2,000 years. People from all walks of life stood by, holding their breath, waiting to see what this discovery would reveal. As they chipped away at the layers of dirt and debris, the anticipation grew. It was as if they were unlocking a door to the past. A door so long locked that no one knew what lay behind it. No ordinary scientific dig. This was a journey into one of the most sacred stories ever told. The tomb was opened. The chamber was still intact, preserved through the ages, standing as a silent witness to the greatest mystery in human history: the resurrection of Jesus. For centuries, this tomb had been a symbol of hope for millions of people around the world. After his crucifixion, Christians believed that Jesus rose from this very tomb 3 days later. But now, as the world watched, the tomb was giving up its secrets. When they finally unveiled the tomb, they focused not only on its physical appearance, but also on its symbolic meaning. For centuries, Christians have believed that this site, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, is the resting place of Jesus after his crucifixion. The tomb itself is central to the story of Jesus' death and resurrection, an event that forms the very core of Christian faith. The Bible tells us that Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy man who was secretly a follower of Jesus, took down Jesus' body after his death on the cross. He had the body wrapped in linen, covered with spices, and placed in his own new tomb carved into rock. Matthew chapter 27, verses 57 to 60. Roman guards posted a large stone in front of the entrance to prevent any tampering. On the third day after Jesus' burial, women who followed him, including Mary Magdalene, returned to the tomb only to find that the stone had been rolled away and Jesus' body was gone. According to the Gospels, angels appeared and told them, "He is not here. He has risen." Luke chapter 24, verse 6. This event, the empty tomb, is the foundation of the Christian belief that Jesus defeated death and rose from the dead, offering eternal life to all who believe in him. As they cleared the dust and debris, the atmosphere grew tense. Every stone, every mark on the walls could potentially reveal something new about the last moments of Jesus' life on earth. While the scientists hoped to verify ancient facts, believers stood by, waiting for affirmation of their faith. This is where faith and discovery clash. Faith rests on the unseen, on the miracles that defy logic. But scientific discovery often seeks concrete evidence. The two worlds were colliding right there at the tomb, with the eyes of the world watching closely. The tomb was still intact, preserved through centuries of history. They discovered traces of ancient burial practices, markings that validated this location as a significant burial site for Jesus. The tomb, silent for so long, seemed to finally speak, confirming the ancient texts passed down through generations. As they uncovered more of the tomb, experts found that the stone slab where Jesus' body may have rested still carried the weight of history. Time had not touched it, serving as a poignant reminder of the moment when Christian tradition proclaimed the defeat of death and the restoration of hope. For believers, this discovery was proof that faith and history could walk hand in hand. The discovery of Jesus' tomb wasn't just about what was inside, it was about what it represents. A place where history, faith, and science meet. It's about the balance between belief and understanding, and the power of an event that has shaped the lives of billions. As the world continues to study this tomb, there will always be new mysteries to uncover. But one thing is clear, the story of Jesus is far from over. This tomb is not just a relic of the past. It's a symbol of the future, of faith, that continues to inspire and challenge us all. At the core of this belief are two key concepts: faith and salvation. These ideas make Jesus' story powerful and enduring, but we must study them to understand them. Let's start with faith. In Christianity, faith isn't just a feeling or a belief in something unseen. It's a deeply personal trust in the promises made by God, especially the promise of eternal life through Jesus Christ. Faith makes millions of people believe in Jesus' resurrection, even though they didn't see it. The empty tomb is a powerful symbol of this faith. It represents the belief that Jesus rose from the dead, not as a myth or metaphor, but as a real historical event. The Bible, specifically Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, states that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. In other words, faith gives people the strength to believe in things that go beyond the physical world. The resurrection of Jesus is the ultimate test of that faith. The tomb is empty, but faith assures believers that it isn't just because a body is missing, it's because Jesus overcame death. This brings us to the second concept, salvation. The concept of salvation posits that Jesus' death and resurrection have freed humanity from sin and bestowed upon them the gift of eternal life. It's a concept that lies at the very heart of Christian doctrine. Christian salvation and tomb meaning would be lost without the resurrection. In the Old Testament, people would offer sacrifices to God to atone for their sins. But in the New Testament, Jesus becomes the ultimate sacrifice, offering himself to atone for the sins of all humanity. When Jesus died on the cross, he took on the weight of the world's sins, and through his resurrection, he defeated death once and for all. This act of sacrifice and triumph is what Christians believe opened the doors to salvation for everyone. The tomb is a crucial part of this narrative. The removal of the stone and the absence of Jesus' body signified that death no longer held the final say. Everyone who believed in him now had the possibility of salvation. Every year on Easter we celebrate the resurrection as a reminder that Jesus' victory over death is also a victory for all of humanity. The empty tomb symbolizes a new beginning, a fresh start for anyone who accepts Jesus into their heart. But faith and salvation aren't just abstract ideas, they're deeply personal. For believers, the empty tomb isn't just a historical artifact. It's a symbol of their own spiritual journey. Christians hold the belief that if they have faith in Jesus, he will also raise them to eternal life. This is the promise of salvation, and it's what gives meaning to the empty tomb. At the same time, faith is not without its challenges. Believing in something unseen, something as incredible as resurrection, requires a leap of trust. For many, doubt and fear can creep in, especially when faced with life's hardships. But in Christianity, even doubt is part of the journey of faith. People often cite the story of doubting Thomas, one of Jesus' disciples, as an example. Thomas famously refused to believe in Jesus' resurrection until he could see and touch Jesus' wounds himself. Yet, when Jesus appeared to him, he said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." John chapter 20 verse 29. This story serves as a reminder that faith doesn't come from seeing. It comes from believing even when it's hard to do so. This explains the intertwining of faith and salvation. Faith is what allows people to accept salvation, and salvation is what gives meaning to their faith. Without faith, the promise of eternal life would feel out of reach. However, Christians believe that faith not only saves them, but also transforms them, enabling them to live a life brimming with hope and purpose. The tomb, once a place of death, has become a beacon of hope. It's a reminder that through faith, believers can overcome anything, even death itself. And in that belief lies the promise of salvation, the ultimate gift that Christians hold on to as they navigate the challenges and mysteries of life. In this way, the discovery of Jesus' tomb reaffirms these core Christian beliefs. The tomb is more than a historical site, for it's a symbol of hope, faith, and salvation. It reminds us that faith can lead us to something greater, even in doubt and fear, and salvation is always available to those who seek it. Firstly, Jerusalem is a city steeped in history. It has witnessed countless pivotal moments in religious and world events. But among all the significant happenings, none carries more weight than the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Historical records, combined with religious texts, confirm that during the time of Roman occupation, executions by crucifixion were not uncommon. The New Testament, particularly the Gospels, narrates the Roman authorities' trial, sentence, and execution of Jesus amidst the prevailing cultural and political tensions of the era. The answer lies in the way believers interpret these events through their faith. While historians look for evidence, theologians turn to the scriptures to understand the deeper significance. The Gospel accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, do more than simply document Jesus' death and resurrection. They present these events as fulfillment of prophecy. For example, Isaiah chapter 53 speaks of a suffering servant who would be pierced for our transgressions, a passage that Christians believe points directly to Jesus. This connection between history and theology is crucial. The Bible does not stand alone as a purely spiritual text. It's also a historical document. The events it describes are not just stories, but records of real moments in time. And that's why the opening of Jesus' tomb is such a powerful moment. It offers a rare chance to connect faith with history, examining the physical evidence of events from 2,000 years ago and comparing it with the scriptures is a unique opportunity. This isn't to say that history and faith are at odds. In fact, they often work hand in hand. The remarkable evidence that archaeologists have uncovered supports much of what the Bible describes. For instance, the discovery of ancient burial practices near the tomb validates the use of this area for significant burials during Jesus' time. The presence of Roman artifacts in the area supports the accounts of Roman involvement in the crucifixion, and yet even with this wealth of evidence, the resurrection remains a matter of faith, something that no physical discovery can definitively prove or disprove. In theological terms, the resurrection is not just an event, it's the culmination of a divine plan. The Bible tells us that Jesus' death and resurrection were necessary for the salvation of humanity, a moment that reconciled God and man. Historically, this is where the world changed forever. Christianity emerged from these events, growing into a global faith that would shape the course of human history. From a theological perspective, the tomb is a symbol of hope and redemption. But historically, it is also a place where we can trace the origins of a movement that continues to impact the world today. The integration of history and theology helps us see the bigger picture. The tomb isn't just an archaeological site or a religious symbol, it's both. It reminds us that faith and history are part of the same story, and that in understanding one, we can better appreciate the other. If you find value in what we share and are eager to learn more, please consider supporting us by making a super thanks donation. By contributing, you're helping us continue researching, uncovering new insights, and delivering high-quality content that inspires and informs. Your support keeps this community growing and allows us to bring even more impactful stories straight to you. The tomb of Jesus is not simply a historical relic, nor just a religious symbol. It is a bridge between past and present, between the stories of ancient texts and the lives we live today. While archaeologists continue to examine the stones and relics, believers turn to the significance of an empty tomb as the foundation of their hope. For Christians, the empty tomb represents far more than a missing body. It is a promise of life beyond death, a victory over the darkest moments we face. But this discovery invites us to think about more than just the past. It pushes us to reflect on how these events shape our understanding of faith today. The tomb stands as a testament not only to what happened thousands of years ago, but also to what continues to resonate within the human spirit. It asks us to consider what faith means in our own lives. What stands out most is the personal reflection that this discovery prompts. What happened at Jesus' tomb matters to us and our journeys. The tomb, though empty, is full of meaning. It challenges each person to consider their beliefs, relationship with the divine, and Jesus' life and death in relation to their own. The story of the tomb transcends both the past and the present. For Christians, the resurrection is an ongoing truth, not just a historical event. And for those seeking deeper understanding, the tomb is a doorway into contemplating the nature of life, death, and what might lie beyond. The tomb of Jesus, with all its history and theological weight, leaves us with an invitation to believe, to question, to explore. Despite doubt or uncertainty, there is always the possibility of more. Whether you see the empty tomb as a symbol of faith, a piece of history, or a place of curiosity, it challenges us to think beyond ourselves and to consider the mysteries that define our existence. Thanks for watching. Be part of our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.